This right here is the mistake that costs people millions of dollars. Hi everybody, my name is Tori. Welcome back. If you're an oldie but a goodie, hi. And if you're new, well, I'm a multimillionaire, I'm a financial expert, I fight the patriarchy by making you rich, and today we're going to talk about how to get rich, which is through investing. Now, you just heard the word investing and you broke out into hives immediately because you're like, that makes me scared. I have a whole chapter. Hold on, this is my little chapter tab so that when somebody asks me, do you cover this in the book? I can be like, well, bam, yes, I do. We have a whole entire investing chapter in the book. And one of the things I talk about, in addition to like all of the things that are keeping you from investing, is the number one thing is fear, right? And it's the fear that you hear when you hear the word invest and you're like, that sounds like picking stocks and the stock market and a bunch of finance bros named Chad that I've gone on dates with who wear Patagonia vests. And I have to track stocks and I have to figure it out and I have to log into my Charles Schwab, Vanguard, Fidelity, Robinhood account. It's stressful and I get it. And my not so conspiracy theory is that they've told you it's stressful as a way so you don't do it. Or as a way so you hand over your money to the Brads and Chads and that makes them money. Investing, the stock market, the finance industry in general is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry built on making you feel too stupid to understand. And that's not what we're about. So we're going to talk today about how do we actually invest? Let's break it down step by step. What are your investing options? What does all of this mean? And as always, if you want more information, you know where to go. Okay, so let's talk about investing very, very simply. Investing is putting your money on the stock market so that it grows. And one of the reasons investing is so powerful is because of compound interest. Compound interest is when your interest earns interest, earns interest, earns interest, right? It's what makes investing the tool to be able to retire someday, to be able to like save for these big goals. But because of all of the gaps that women face, we're ending up with less money, right? We know about the pay gap. We talk about it all the time, right? Depending on the stat you see, on average, 82 cents to a white man's dollar, and it's even worse if you're a woman of color, right? So we're taking less money because of the pay gap, because we just don't earn as much. Bullshit. But then the thing that we're not talking about as much is the investing gap, which is that we're taking less money and then it's growing at a slower rate because we're either not investing at the same rate as men are, we're not investing as soon, right? We're waiting longer to invest, or we're just not investing as much money because of the pay gap and because we've been told that investing is too scary for us to understand. So pay gap, less money, growing at a slower rate because of the investing gap. And then on average, women live 7 years longer than men do. So less money, growing at a slower rate, and we're expected to live longer on that money. That equation doesn't make any fucking sense. This is why we have to get started investing as soon as we can. So because of compound interest, right, it's this really powerful tool for us to be able to invest at a consistent pace and also for money to work really hard for us. It's one thing I want to debunk right off the top is that we believe this stereotype, this like myth that investing is just for rich people, or I have to be rich in order to invest. It's just not true. Time is way more important than the amount of money. Like time, giving yourself as much time as possible is going to be way more crucial for you than feeling like you need $1 million trillion. We have even more information in our free stock market secrets workshop that we will link down below. It's an hour with me. We talk about all of the myths you've been believing about the stock market, how to actually grow your wealth. So we talk more about compound interest and that like time more important than the amount of money thing over there. Let's talk about the step-by-step of how you actually get started investing. So first thing, I like explaining investing through what I call the rule of twos. So the first rule of two is that investing is a two-step process. People think it is a one-step process, like a bank account, right? I open a bank account, I put $1,000 in, I'm done. This is the most common mistake I see people make. Like, look at me. This right here is the mistake that costs people millions of dollars. And I mentioned this story in my book of this cute little old lady named Rose. Rose was 65. She was ready to retire. She worked as a teacher. And she would take part of her paycheck every single month for like 40 fucking years and would put it into a 401k. 401k is an investing account for retirement, right? And then She was 65 and she's like, cool, I finally get to stop working after diligently saving this entire time. And then she went and looked at her account. She had never actually invested the money because she had never done step 2. She had never actually taken the money and not only put it in the investing account, but actually chose her investments. 2-step process. We got to put the money in, and then we got to pick the things we're investing in. I explain this like it's a gift card, right? I put $100 on a TJ Maxx gift card, then I need to go buy the plants and the candles and throw pillows, right? We have to do step 2. So if you haven't started investing yet, cool, I caught you so you don't make this mistake. If you're already investing, I need you to check to make sure you've actually chosen your investments. It's not enough to just put money in a 401k, put money in a Roth IRA and be like, cool, I'm done. You got to do step 2. Easiest way to determine if you've done step 2 is to look at how much is in your account. If you put $1,000 in last year and it's still $1,000, nothing's happened, right? Your money's in financial purgatory. You got to do step 2. All right, my second rule of 2s. There are 2 basic things to invest in. Just 2. It is not more complicated than this. Stocks and bonds. This is where people get hung up, is they do sign up for an investing account and then they go in and they try to choose their investments and they're like, holy shit, this is way too confusing. Stocks are a tiny little sliver of a company. They're like owning piece of a company pie, right? So granted, if I buy a share of Amazon stock, that's like owning a grain of sand on Bezos's beach, right? But like I own part of that company. Now stocks tend to be more lucrative, but they also tend to be more volatile because it's a company with living, breathing people and revenue and profit and all of that, right? When it comes to bonds, bonds are either the debt of a company or government. So when you invest in a bond, you are getting interest off that loan. That's how you're making money. So you're loaning the money to a company, you're loaning the money to a government, and you're getting interest on that loan. Now, bonds tend to be less lucrative, but they also tend to be less volatile. Now, if you know a little bit more about investing, you're going, but Tori, there's like this thing called like mutual funds or ETFs. Yes, that's just a group of stocks. Because rather than investing in individual companies, right, putting all of our eggs into Amazon's basket or into Pepsi's basket, name a company, right? Name a company in the stock market. If we just invest in that company or just a couple other companies, we're basically just saying, well, I hope that this company does well, and I'm going to take my entire future and invest it into this company. That's really risky. I wouldn't do it. So the nice thing about funds is you're investing in a bunch of different things as opposed to just trying to cherry pick. Because here's the thing, you cannot cherry pick stocks. Not even the professionals can. I have the stat in my book that tells you that 25% of stock pickers are actually good at their job. So only a quarter of people who actually get paid to do this actually outperform things like index funds. I'll talk to you in a second about how we select those kind of funds that make sense for us, the ones that are right for us. So that's your basic investments. Stocks, bonds, and funds are groups of stocks. They're different companies that allow you to diversify your investments rather than just investing and putting all of your eggs in 1 or 2 baskets. All right, so let's actually talk about how we can invest, right? Like, where do we go to do it? What happens? First option is through what's called a DIY platform. DIY is exactly what it sounds like, which means you're doing it yourself, right? So DIY platform, some examples: Fidelity, Vanguard, TD Ameritrade, which is now Charles Schwab, which is also an option. These are places where you're opening an account yourself, you are choosing your investments yourself, you are navigating the platforms by yourself. Now, the pro for these platforms is that you're not paying somebody else to do it, right? You're not paying somebody to pick things for you, so you're saving money, which is great. However, this is not good for you. I'm just gonna say it, like, it's not your best option because you gotta know what you're doing, right? You have to know how to navigate these platforms. You have to know what all of this means, and it's all jargon. It is so difficult to navigate. They don't make this easy to understand. If you've tried to open one of these accounts and navigate it, you know. Like, it's just really confusing. There's a bunch of graphs and charts. You can't figure out, like, okay, what is step 1? What is step 2? What is step 3? So for the average person, especially a newbie investor or someone who doesn't know how to navigate these platforms, this is not the best option for you. And I'll also say, I'm a finance expert. These platforms are fucking confusing to me. So DIY, not your best option. A robo-advisor is your second option. It's exactly, again, what it sounds like. You got a robot investing for you. So these platforms start with basically a survey. They're asking you some questions to get some information about you to make decisions that they think are right for you. So you know, how old are you? When do you want to retire? What's your risk tolerance? And you're like, I don't know, nothing. I don't like risk. They're trying to figure out how to choose the things that are going to make the most sense for you. Robo-advising platforms, some examples include Ellevest, Betterment, Wealthfront, Wealthsimple, Acorns. There's a bunch out there. The pro for a robo-advising platform is that you don't have to worry about doing it. If our goal here is to just get started, well, cool. That's amazing. They're getting you started investing. However, couple cons here. One, we're hoping that the information you provide, that you know yourself well enough to answer these questions thoughtfully, and that the robot knows you well enough to make decisions that are right for you. And I don't know if a robot's ever asked me 6 questions and known everything it needs to know about my life. Maybe the robot from the newest Mission Impossible movie. Unironically, it is so good. The entity. Maybe the entity can ask me 6 questions and know everything it needs to know about me, but I contain nuance. I contain many nuances. So that just makes me nervous. The second thing is that, really importantly, my biggest issue with these platforms is that they are fishing for you rather than teaching you to fish. Because what happens is, you know, we have millions of people in our community, and somebody will come to me, this happens all the time, and say, you know what, I got started on one of these platforms and it was great because I got started, but it's been 3 years, or it's been 4 or 5 or 10 years, and I don't know why they're choosing the things that they're choosing for me. Still don't know what any of this means. They're getting you started, which is great, but they're fishing for you. And you're also paying somebody to do it. Like, you're paying somebody else to do it. So what if we could have both? What if we could have something in between? What if we could have the Venn diagram of these two, and we could have the Hannah Montana of investing platforms, otherwise known as the best of both worlds? That's literally what I created. I created and built an entire platform with friends of mine called Stock Market School. It is not only a place to learn about investing, but it's literally a place to invest. You actually invest. It was, hold on, we can pull it out. This is such a flex. I've never gotten to do this live on. It was on the New York Times business section's front page. There I am, there she is, talking about demystifying investing. We literally have, the platform was featured in the front page of the New York Times, clearly one of my proudest moments. And we have over $65 million invested, most of whom is by people who have never invested before. It's a community of women and folks who support women focused on learning how to invest, me teaching you. I do live coaching, I do workshops. There's so much education and tutorials. So there's more links down below if you want more information. As a reminder, we just need you getting started. I would love to see you in Stock Market School. I would love to teach you step by step. Otherwise, just get started. Open up one of these investing accounts at a DIY platform or at a robo-advisor, but just get started. Because the most important thing is that we are earning compound interest, that we are building our wealth, that we are closing those gaps both for ourselves and for others. And if you have been on an investing journey or know somebody else who is, please do share this video. It really does help demystify investing, demystify personal finance, because we weren't taught this shit in school. And unless you had your parents or somebody else teach you, you haven't been taught. And we're really trying to demystify everything when it comes to personal finance, but especially all the shit that they don't want you to know. As always, you know what to do. You can like, comment, subscribe. You can hit the little notification bell. We super appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being financial feminists as always. And I'll see you in Stock Market School.